How do you lose $100 million and then make it all back, plus another $700 million on top? It sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, for Tiger Woods, it was just smart business. Back in his prime, Tiger wasn't just a golfer. He was an institution, a one-man industry with a net worth knocking on the door of $1 billion. Then, almost overnight, a personal scandal blew up his entire world, costing him his reputation, his marriage, and a fortune in a divorce settlement. It really seemed like the end. The media wrote him off, his sponsors ran for the hills, and his own body started to give out on him. Everyone thought he was done. But they were wrong. This is the story of how Tiger clawed his way back from rock bottom to build an empire that's now worth an estimated $1.3 billion. And this isn't just a comeback story, it's the playbook he used to pull it off. To really get how big the collapse was, you have to understand just how high he'd climbed. By the late 2000s, Tiger Woods was golf. He'd racked up 14 major championships and was on track to shatter every record imaginable. For 281 straight weeks, he was the #1 player in the world, a level of dominance that turned into an unprecedented financial empire. His on-course winnings were impressive, sure, but they were just a drop in the bucket compared to what he was making off the course. Brands were practically tripping over themselves to be associated with him, and the deals were insane. His partnership with Nike was the stuff of legend, but he also had massive deals with Gatorade, Gillette, Accenture, and Atant. He was pulling in over $100 million a year, and his influence was so powerful that economists actually coined the term the Tiger effect to describe the boost he gave to any brand he touched. Then, in November 2009, the whole thing started to crumble. A bizarre late-night car accident outside his Florida mansion kicked off one of the biggest celebrity scandals we've ever seen. The reveal of multiple extramarital affairs completely destroyed his carefully polished image as a family man. The fallout was fast and ruthless. The guy, who was once the most marketable athlete on the planet, suddenly became toxic. The financial bleeding started almost immediately. Accenture, a company that had literally built an ad campaign around his reliability, dropped him. Atant, Gillette, and Gatorade quickly followed, cutting ties and vaporizing tens of millions in yearly income. But the single biggest hit came in 2010. His divorce from Elin Nordegren was settled for a reported $100 million. In a single transaction, a massive chunk of his fortune was just gone. As if the personal and financial chaos wasn't enough, his body, the very tool of his genius, began to fail him. In the wake of the scandal, his game fell apart. He went from winning all the time to barely being a contender. Then came a brutal stretch between 2014 and 2017, where a series of back injuries and multiple surgeries meant he could barely even swing a club. The world watched as the greatest golfer of his generation became a spectator. The once invincible Tiger Woods looked broken. The question wasn't if he would ever win again, but if he would ever play again. This is where the story takes a turn. This isn't just about a guy getting his life back on track. It's about a calculated and brilliant business pivot. While the world saw a fallen star, Woods and his team were quietly laying the foundation for one of the greatest financial comebacks in sports history. The plan wasn't just to get back what he'd lost. It was to build something new, something stronger, and something he actually controlled. His masterclass came down to 3 key moves. First, he leveraged the loyalists. While a lot of brands ran for the hills, one giant stood by him: Nike. The iconic brand had been with him since 1996 and made a calculated bet to stick with him through the storm. That decision was an invaluable lifeline. It meant Tiger stayed a visible, global brand even when he wasn't playing. It was a stable base he could rebuild from. The second, and most important move, was a total shift in thinking. He went from being an endorser to an owner. This was the game changer. Tiger figured out that real, long-term wealth isn't made by just cashing checks from other people's companies. It's made by creating your own. In 2016, he launched TGR Ventures to be the parent company for all of his new business plays. This was the moment he officially transitioned from athlete to mogul. Under TGR Ventures, he started to diversify. He launched TGR Design, a golf course design firm that now has projects all over the world. He also opened a high-end sports bar in his hometown of Jupiter, Florida, called The Woods, giving his brand a physical home. But the real stroke of genius was seeing where golf entertainment was headed. He became a co-owner of PopStroke, a tech-savvy upscale mini-golf experience designed by his TGR team, complete with a full-service restaurant and bar. With locations popping up all over the country and a partnership with TaylorMade that reportedly valued the company at $650 million, PopStroke is changing the game for casual golf. The third move was taking total control of his own brand. For 27 years, Tiger was defined by the Nike swoosh. But in early 2024, they parted ways. Instead of just finding another apparel deal, he did something much bigger. He partnered with his club sponsor TaylorMade to launch his own brand, Sunday Red. This wasn't just another clothing line, it was the final step in his journey to ownership. Every detail, from the logo to the fabric, is tied to his personal story. Sunday Red is a premium lifestyle brand built to compete at the highest level, marking his final evolution from a guy who gets paid to wear clothes to the guy who owns the company that makes them. And he didn't stop there. He teamed up with fellow golf star Rory McIlroy to co-found TMRW Sports, a company creating new tech-focused sports content. Their first big project is TGL, a high-tech indoor golf league that launched in January 2025. It features PGA Tour stars competing in a fast-paced format inside a custom-built arena, mixing virtual reality with live shots. It's a huge bet on the future of sports media, and Tiger is right at the center, not as a player, but as a founder. The payoff from this strategic shift has been incredible. While his business empire was growing, the legend himself was making a comeback on the course. Years of painful rehab finally worked. It all led to one of the most emotional moments in sports history, his 2019 Masters win. That victory wasn't just his 15th major, it was proof that he was all the way back. That win reignited his brand, and new sponsors like TaylorMade, Bridgestone, and Monster Energy jumped on board, eager to be part of the story. But this time, the endorsement money was just a bonus, not the whole foundation. His wealth was no longer tied just to his performance or his public image. It was now backed by a strong, diverse portfolio of businesses he owned. The PGA Tour even acknowledged his importance, rewarding him with a reported $100 million in equity in the new PGA Tour enterprises for his loyalty during the rivalry with the LAV Golf League. His net worth shot past its old peak. As of 2025, Forbes puts his fortune at $1.3 billion, making him one of the very few billionaire athletes in history. And get this, only about 10% of that incredible number comes from his actual golf winnings. The rest is from endorsements and, more importantly, his business empire. Today, that empire is a powerhouse, including TGR Ventures, his stake in PopStroke, the growing Sunday Red brand, and his ownership in the futuristic TMRW Sports. It's an $800 million comeback built not on a golf swing, but on a brilliant business plan. Tiger Woods' story is so much more than a fall from grace and a climb back to the top. It's a masterclass in resilience and reinvention. The scandal and the $100 million loss that seemed like a career-ending blow actually became the very thing that pushed him to change. It forced him to think bigger than the next tournament or the next endorsement deal. It forced him to become a builder. He completely transformed himself from the world's most famous athlete into a sharp, diversified business owner. He proved that his greatest skill wasn't just reading a putt, but seeing the future and building it himself. He didn't just make his money back, he built a lasting legacy that will keep growing long after he takes his final swing, cementing his place not just as a golf legend, but as a true business titan. If you found this story of strategy and resilience as fascinating as we did, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the finances of the world's most interesting figures, and share this video with someone who needs to see that a comeback is always possible. Thanks for watching. Thanks.